it's Liz Yuille from Old Stables Crafts. Thank you for joining me again today. Today I am going to show you a different version of this card. I made this for a team creative challenge that we have going on at the moment. It's a bit like a bingo, so you can combine two bingo squares, and this was embossing and monochrome. So I thought I would make a different version just to show you how I made it. This uses the Forever Blossom stamp set, which was in the Spring Summer mini catalogue, is in the Spring Summer mini catalogue, and is carrying over. Hurrah! I've used the Cherish Every Moment of This Day sentiment, but I've cut it short. So yes, let me show you how I've made it. It's not difficult. It's just a different way of looking at things, I guess. So I'm going to make this one on, I'm going to have to cough, on early espresso. I've got my stamp already on its block. I'm going to apply some embossing buddy. Now, embossing buddies are going from our annual catalogue. So if you want an embossing buddy, and it is kind of useful for heat embossing so that you don't get stray bits of powder. So if you don't have one, I highly, highly recommend that you get one. They are not expensive. Just pop them onto the bottom of an existing order, and they last years. I've had this one, I would say probably more than 20 years. It's not a Stampin' Up one. It's very similar to a Stampin' Up one, but it does the same job. I've, as you've seen, used Versamark on my stamp. Just want to make sure I get the angle right. So there we go. And press. And I do like, particularly when I'm using Versamark, which is a gloopier ink, I do like to give it a really good press. And then the moment of truth is when you add your embossing powder. Now I'm using the white embossing powder. This is the standard white embossing powder that's in the current annual catalogue and will be carrying over. So as I say, this is when you get the moment of truth. Have I stamped it all right? Although this particular option for... my brain just went. It's not vital that you get an absolutely perfect impression. Let me just tap that onto the floor. There are a couple of stray bits of embossing powder, but not much. So that's that done. While I have my heat tool going, which I will have going in a moment, I'm just going to do the sentiment as well. And I've got that mounted up. And again, I'm going to just ink that up with my Versamark and trying to get it reasonably straight, but I am going to trim it down so it's not vital that it's straight, but I do like to try and start straight. And that's fine. And grab my embossing powder again and just, yep, that looks good. It looks sort of straight as well, which is even better. Now I will heat emboss the whole thing, even though I am going to trim it down. There's no reason to not heat emboss the whole thing. So, you know what I'm going to say next, don't you? It's time for our trusty cheese board. So if you're new, I'm just going to heat up my heat gun. If you're new to my channel, I am a Stampin' Up demonstrator based in the UK. If you need any of the products, there's links to my shop below. And there's also a link to my website where you can see some close-up photos. So do have a look at that. Now is also a really good time to think about getting the starter kit, because we are in pre-order for the new annual catalogue, which means as demonstrators we're allowed to order from a limited list, but quite a lot of really lovely stuff. Items from the new catalogue, and we get them about a month early. Whoa! So do have a look at that. I did a post earlier this week about signing up. So have a look at that. It was Tuesday's post. So probably last week actually. I'm working ahead, so okay, so turn that off and take that off my cheese board. And while that is kind of finishing its drying, you do need to leave embossing powder to dry. The white is less of an issue, but the metallics can get quite molten, and if you put your finger on it too quickly, you will end up smudging your image because it's molten powder. So I'm just going to trim this down. I might take a little bit off the bottom. Just make sure I'm reasonably straight. And then, okay, so I'm going to line it up with this mark here and keep my fingers crossed. Woohoo! It's perfect. Right, okay, so next I need to just take that off, and that'll be, let's get it really even. So I'm going to take the tiniest, weeniest, teeniest bit off, just so that it's even at each end. So that is, these bits will be rubbish, and the others I can use as scraps for something. Right, okay, actually I need to keep that out because I need to trim down my, I'm going to mount everything on very vanilla. The white is actually quite a nice white, the embossing powder, because it's not a pure white, which means that you can mix it with either, now can you see I've got embossing powder on the back? That's because the back didn't have didn't have embossing buddy on it. But yes, the white isn't a pure white, so it actually works really well both with our Whisper White and our Very Vanilla. It kind of morphs to match whichever one you're working with, which is really clever. Means you only need the one white. Go that way, I think. Perfect. Right. Okay, so you may have noticed on the original, which was, I've got metallic paint. I've used some of our shimmer paint. This used both the First Frost and the Champagne Mist because I was going for a very much more monochrome look. I'm going to use just the Champagne on this one, purely because this is a warmer colour. The First Frost is definitely a cool colour. So, yeah, that's why I'm doing that. This is curled just a wee bit because of the heat, but it's fine. When we stick it down, it'll be absolutely perfect. So I'm using an aqua painter, and got my very tatty rag, which is due for a wash probably. I've shaken my shimmer paint, and I'm going to work from the lid. So that's my palette, and all I'm doing is just colouring in the petals and the leaves. So on my first version I did the Frost White on the petals and the Champagne Mist on the leaves, but as I say, for this one I'm just going to go Champagne Mist everywhere. And as you can see, you really don't have to be that careful. You can go over the embossing powder, it's fine. It really won't mind this is only water. If you use alcohol, so if you were to colour with blends, obviously you wouldn't do that on this colour cardstock because it would just sink into the card. But if you do ever use blends to colour in an image that you've embossed, you could find that the embossing powder goes a little dull. If that happens, just reheat the embossing powder when you've finished, and it should kind of burn through the alcohol. So I find this really therapeutic as well. I want to do a bit more kind of watercolour type or colouring in type project, so be aware, things will be coming. But yes, so I did my pre-order, including a lovely stamp set that was, I think, made specially for me. You may know that my team are called the Sparkling Sunflowers. My logo is a sunflower, for a number of reasons. A, I just love sunflowers, and when we first moved to our house here 5 years ago, I planted sunflowers outside the house. Our house has got black weatherboard cladding, because it's supposed to look like an agricultural building, and the sunflowers against the black were just perfect. And because I used a photo that I had taken of the front of the house as part of my branding when I first started with Stampin' Up, the sunflower kind of became my logo. But sunflowers are they're just such happy flowers. I'm going to need a bit more paint, so I'll give it another shake. So yes, so my team are the Sparkling Sunflowers, and one of the new stamp sets features sunflowers. In fact, it's a bundle. It's got dies as well. So I'm very happy. Painted Harvest, which was my sunflower stamp set, has gone, or will be going. Last time I checked, it was still available, so if you want that stamp set, do have a look at Painted Harvest. It's lovely. It's a photopolymer, really easy two-step stamp set. So really, really good if you're new to multi-layer stamping. So yes, I would have been sad that that was going had it not been for the fact that I'm getting my own stamp bundle. Needless to say, everyone in the team posted on our Facebook group, guess which set Liz is going to get first. It was fairly near the top of my list of order. Top of my list on my order, as much as anything because it happened to be one of the first things in the catalogue that was on the list. So I just went through the catalogue and ordered in the order in which things appeared, so it wasn't particularly difficult. Right, okay, so that is that done. Let's clean off my paintbrush, my aqua painter. So I like to just squeeze some water through and then just dab it, and that will be fine. You don't want to leave shimmer paint on your paintbrush because it will harden, so just a word of warning there. So that's going to need to dry, but while that is drying I can prepare my card base. So this is a short fat card base in Very Vanilla. No, I don't want Very Vanilla, I want Early Espresso. What am I saying? I don't know, I've got an Early Espresso cut, so let's cut one. And I can show you how I do cut once, score once. Or should say score once, cut once. New pack of paper. Always like it when I'm opening a new pack of paper. I hang my paper that way in a hanging folder. If you've seen my craft room tours, you'll have seen me do that, or seen my storage for my card. So whilst that is doing its thing, let's grab this. So if I'm doing a short fat card as opposed to a long thin, I pop it, don't need that anymore, I pop it into my trimmer and line it up. For International A4 you're going to line it up with 10.5 centimetres and just score. So I've scored once, and then at 14.9 centimetres cut, and I've got my two, sorry I'm ignoring that, it's my husband who's got legs, he can come and speak to me if he wants. So I wish he would shut up and go away. He's gone away. I love him dearly, but he knows I'm filming this morning. So, yes, I've scored once, cut once. And if I was doing long and thin, I would do it just the other way. So I would score at 14.9 and cut at 10.5. Just looking for my, there it is, bone folder. There we go. Right, I've got that. I have got a piece of very vanilla cardstock. So the measurements for these will be on my website, so don't worry about that. If you go over to my website, and as I say, that's linked immediately below in the description bar, you will go straight to the post for this project. I'm adding more glue than I would normally add, just to make sure that I flatten the card out, because it has bowed just a little. So let's just pop that down, and then I like to press from the back. You're less likely to move the top if you press from the back. There we go. And then that, and again I am going to use a little more glue than I would normally use, purely because it's still bowing a tiny bit, and I want it to have as much help as possible to keep flat. Is it the right way up? Yes, it is the right way up. Always a plan. And again, with the liquid adhesive, you've got that little wiggle room. And then press from the back. Pop that away. Right, I want black dimensionals, if I can find them. There they are. And I'm using black because it's dark cardstock. You don't have to. You could use just the standard white ones, but I do like to use the black on a darker cardstock. Even though we're sticking to vanilla, if someone were to look underneath, they would see more of a shadow than if I used the standard white ones. So that's just going there. And then I've got some of the metallic pearls. I used just ordinary pearls for my first version. That's rogue. So I was just wondering what that was doing there. But I think for the early espresso, the gold metallic would be nicer. So we'll just add. Now I put the large pearls in the middle of my blossom. I suppose I could put 3, couldn't I? Because the little ones look a bit lost on their own. Let's see what 3 looks like. Oops, come on. There we go. Yeah, I like that. So we'll do 3 here. Ooh, don't move, come on. There we go. And here. Do love my take a pick tool. And the last one. And then we'll have 3 just at the edge here. And I want these to be not in a triangle, as in not in an equilateral, not in a, yeah, I want them to be not, what's the one? Equilateral triangle, isn't it? The one that's the same size all the way around. So there we go. That is my brown version, my sepia version, if you like, and this is my original. I think I prefer this one, actually, with just the, I think it's more delicate on the flower. Anyway, I would obviously put a liner in, so yeah. Thank you very much for watching today. If you've enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. It's always wonderful if people subscribe, and if you're in the UK, if you need any products, I would be thrilled for you to test drive my customer service. So thank you very much. Keep yourselves well, keep yourselves safe, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Bye!